here we go again. Play pause. Refresh. Dum 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 dum. Okay. Right, yeah, applied for carpentry and joinery, level 1, but we'll see. That was like, there's an assessment day or whatever, so maybe, if I'm good enough, I can do a level 2. But I'm not planning on it. Same course, same hours, just presumably slightly different assignments. And level 2 in plastering. Both 1-year courses, so happy days. So where were we here? Right, we got home frame, which has the basics, but something wasn't loading from it. That definitely doesn't look right. I mean, it's still not right anyway. Still definitely gonna need some work. Well, at least the count thing is coming up, but it's still not looking right. Oh, that's the actual online one, so it's secure. Tab secondary. What we got in here? Starts with home, card, HUD, menus. I think we want menus. Possibly global. What have we got in here? Just home. Shouldn't necessarily be a problem because the home is supposed to be importing all this stuff. We are not importing menus. Let's see if that's what's missing. doing global and HUD. Oh, we are doing menus, but it's in XC8 now. No, this is the other one. So we're not doing menus, but we do need to put the right folder in. Oh, that seems to have helped out. I mean, it's still not right, but no, we're still getting incorrect colors. Let's have an inspect on that. See what's making it green. XC8 tab from styler.css. I think, isn't styler... Just get rid of that. Okay. Yeah, that's the import of the stuff that I originally was just like dynamically creating. Well, if styler was what was messing that up before, then I didn't need to add menus. That might be what's messing it up now. Or not. So, navbar comes first in. That shouldn't be there. Okay, so order definitely matters. Thought it did. So we put menus first. Does that change? How does that change it? Yeah, that pretty much fixes the issues. There's still an alignment difference. Let's ignore the menu for now. We've got it approximately where we're at with the other stuff. So there's a massive pain in the butt of actually getting the page. JS page puts a main in, doesn't it? Does indeed. Now, before I go too much further, let's have a check and see if that's showing up and how bad it is. Oh, wrong website. So I moved them. Well, it's not horrendous. It's definitely not right. What's going on with those? It's the rounded corner top and bottoms, but in a completely weirdo place. Anyway, I need the loo. Well, that's CSS anyway, so I can sort that out later. Oh, and I should have the chat open. Well, Ilara, if you're still on, I don't know, I suppose I'll check, but not really, no. I'm coding. And of course, it doesn't... Yeah, I mean, they're gone, so I think they're probably gone anyway. Says one viewer. Alrighty then. Flibbledy wibbledy. Where were we? Building stuff up after the Jumbotron. Oh, still there. Cool. Doodly doo. What are we doing? Right, we're in content. Most of the chatters on Twitch these days are bots or advertising. Such is life. Okay, so now we got a div. Oh wait, that's the wrong one. We got container marketing first. I'll leave it like that. Well, I was just thinking there's only actually one child. which means that I don't actually need to specify it by number. I could just put the tag in due to the way I've written that C stands for children, so like you can specify child objects within my object definition, so just nest stuff and keep making stuff. Basically like shorthand JavaScript for HTML. And the E is the shortcode version of LMake for like element creation. Oh, glad you like it. It's just like AI generated violin orchestral stuff. This one is String of Fire. Should have brought up. Yeah, I'm a fan. I also have a lot of violin X metal, which is like kind of even better for coding. A lot of heavy metal percussion and occasional wailing guitars, but not always in the mood for really high tempo. Yeah, where was I? Right, just trying to bring this old page into my much more recent coding styles. UK, although I am half American as well. So the accent might trick you. It's kind of just a messed up accent though, not particularly anywhere specific. Why do Rust? I don't know. Like, Rust's popular in both America and Russia. It could be Pakistan, China, who knows? I'll go with Australia, just randomly. Was I right? Is it Australia? Neighbor of country I guessed in between my guesses. Well, I mean, pretty sure I guessed China. I don't think I guessed Russia. Russia's a neighbor of China. I can't remember if I threw Pakistan in there. Could be India. Didn't go for UK, so it wouldn't be France or Spain. Yay? To which one? Not super helpful. Or do you mean yay that I didn't get it? Ahaha! I did throw Pakistan in there. Cool. Well, let's see. Can't remember if it was India or Pakistan that was having some. I don't really watch much news, but I know there was something out there. Yeah, kind of did some transition stuff. Well, trained myself in PHP and JavaScript a while ago, and I had written some framework type stuff. I've got a routing system which deals with subdomains and dynamic subdomains, so that's pretty much working. Well, it's fully working. It could do with a little bit more support for dynamic file extensions in one of the components. And then this is a project which I was working on quite a while ago that I've called Poetry. And it's just the main website interface is old, and a while ago I also updated it to work with like modular JavaScript because it produces code for you, and broke it at the same time. So I need to update it to work with my more up-to-date sort of infrastructure of trying to do things mostly in JavaScript, so that it's more dynamic and hits the server less, and then get it functional, and then get it producing JavaScript instead of PHP, so that it can again hit the server less. Cool. I mean, my background was 15 and a half years of Delphi development, and so I've just like trained myself for PHP and JavaScript as a hobby at home. And then this is maybe lead to take over the world eventually, as is everyone's plan. Except, like, for God, because I'm a Christian. Well, I'm a follower of Jesus. Christian's not in the Bible. It tends to give people a bad impression. I don't get on with many Christians either. Yeah, my current weakest area is probably like CSS. It's just never works the way it's supposed to. Yeah, no worries, I'll still be around, well, for a little while anyway. I gotta go get dinner soon. It's Delphi with an I instead of a Y. It's Pascal-based, Object Pascal. The guy who designed the more recent Visual Studio interface did Delphi first. So it used to be owned by Borland, and then it got like shuttled around between a bunch of different companies after Microsoft bought a 50% stake in Borland and basically damaged development prospects. Went to like Embarcadero and someone else, and not very popular anymore. But it's when it compiles full-blown programs and was like about up there with C++ when it came to speed and executable size and efficiency. But more automated. It was a RAD, so rapid application development, like Visual Studio, with the ability to like drag and drop forms. And it codes very similarly to C#, but produces native executables without like the whole DLL/.NET framework hell where you load the program up and it takes a gig, even though your executable's only half a meg or something. Yeah, it's like that's one of the things with programming. There's so much in it. It depends entirely on what you're familiar with. Like if you do Python or Go or just PHP and JavaScript, then talking about Visual Studio probably wouldn't mean a lot to you. And since you said full stack, I'm assuming web-based. I don't know. I downloaded it once, but I never actually got around to giving it a try. It looks potentially interesting, but I was kind of interested in doing 3D stuff, and theoretically it can do it, but it looks like the package support for it is not great, especially not if you wanted to do 3D things. So I was like, do I want to go for Go, or do I just want to like go all the way and use C++ if I get to the stage of wanting to do Windows programs? But I kind of I want to do stuff on the web first because it's much more accessible. So I'd rather like start something with WebGL or WebGPU, and then if I get it to a point where the graphics need more direct hardware access. I think I'd like to start with like 3D stuff on the web, but if it gets advanced, which isn't really my aim, but like, you know, just wouldn't cut it if I decided to go for like a full-blown game. Not really, no. I kind of want to do a 3D interface for the internet. So play around with using SVG with XML, so you can embed HTML and CSS into an SVG, and then you can screenshot that and throw it onto like just a 3D plane as a texture, and then effectively just using your phone you could go full screen 3D environment and put little rectangles up around the screen to look around and have a full screen multi-monitor setup with just web pages. Much as game dev sounds interesting, I think, you know, I'd like to have something more practical and useful first. Like, game dev's what got me into wanting to do coding. But I prefer the idea of, like, making people's days better so they go home less stressed and don't shout at their wife and kids and stuff like that. Yeah, I've seen a bit of 3JS, and I've done some like experiment projects with like writing cubes and throwing like YouTube video onto a 2D plane in a OpenGL. Not sure. I don't think I actually went into using 3.js. I went through a foundational thing of just doing it directly with WebGL myself. But yeah, doing more advanced stuff, 3 would be a good way to go. You know, they've pre-written everything, but I would probably like just strip out the bits that I needed. I mean, I'd use 3 to start with, and then I'd just do a comparison, like, right, how much of this am I actually using? 1 kilobyte out of the 65 kilobyte resource file. Well, I'll just take that out and use those. The joys of open source. Currently unemployed / self-employed, so I'm looking to become self-employed. Which I'm actually going to go door to door as well. So in the UK, I've applied for a peddler's certificate, which is like lets you legally sell things door to door. So I've got a backpack full of like computer accessories and components, like an SSD and some hard drives that I got at a good price, and see if anybody needs their computer like maintaining or upgrading. Got like Windows 11 for unsupported hardware on a bootable USB. But the police are taking their time approving the certificate. So then also I need to make a web page for like just advertising what I can do. I'll also help out around people's houses if they want. But ideally, also want to like more long term try and get my own software company going. Although I kind of want to do it as a charity software company. And actually just try and make productive software and get it like a basic salary but not make huge amounts of profit. Think we could do with like trying to make the world a better place rather than just trying to make infinite amounts of money. Oh, well, I'm not there yet, but I do at some point plan on getting a Git project up, although probably on my own web page, so I can control user access more rather than just put it on GitHub. I've got my own VPS server, but I'm not currently coding on that. I'm just doing it on my home PC. But once I've got it stable, then I'll get more of it up there, and then I do plan on doing Git and coding on the page as well. There's some good JavaScript sort of code editors that you can load up with stuff to do JavaScript and PHP, as well as the fact that the thing I'm currently trying to get converted to working again is Poetry stands for Practical Object Entity Table Relationship Engineering Environment. So you do your object and database structure, and then it will generate the tables and the access object in JavaScript, the database access stuff in PHP, etc. Do a lot of the back-end framework side for you. And it was working, but the only thing I made with it was remade itself, and then I went and updated it and broke it and left it alone for 5 years. Oops. Go ahead and ask. I can't guarantee I'll be able to answer. I mean, there's the future in general, personal future. Both are worrying. There's a lot of political change going on in the UK, and I've been stuck unemployed for a while. I'm going for a course courses in plastering and carpentry and joinery, starting in September. Hopefully, I'll get onto those, and they'll help with being able to do more practical stuff. And then, I mean, there's obviously a lot of stuff going on in the world. Personally, I have faith in God and Jesus, so I trust in those things. And surprisingly, not as worried as I would expect. I don't know what'll happen, but it'll be interesting. I had a lot of time. I got a mental health diagnosis a while back, and life was much more stressful before I rededicated myself to my childhood faith, and makes a big difference for me. I don't know if you've got a faith, but grab yourself a Bible if you can. Might help. There's a lot of problems that have always gone on in the world, and not worrying about whether you're going to live or die. I currently live alone. I have 3 kids. I was married. My ex-wife died. I have parents. They're still alive. Yeah, I live alone with 3 cats. What about yourself? I worry about my kids because they don't have faith. My parents do. But my ex-wife turned out to be a pagan witch, which was awkward as a Christian. But very educational. Just learning to recognize all the signs of somebody who lives their life completely deceptively. Yeah, so kind of still with parents, but away for education. Oh, I mean, like, my divorce was a long time ago, like 21 years. She died like 3 years ago, but we were divorced for quite a while before then, and she was a massive problem. But my last relationship was about 11 years ago. Hopefully I'll meet somebody, but now I've like put it as a priority that they have to love God and put Him first. And have a strong faith in the Bible and enough knowledge of it for that to actually mean something, and that they need to want marriage before sex, and they have to be someone I respect. So basically 10 years. I have actually recently met somebody who might meet the qualifications, but I'm pretty sure I royally screwed that up. But surprisingly okay with the possibility. Too much trust in God. Well, not that there is such a thing. Unless you're going to go suicidal and like charge a crowd of, I don't know, Satanists or something. Which isn't something I would do. No, I don't live in London. Lincoln. Much less known, but quite pretty. Technically a city, but only because we've got a cathedral. Right. Oh, it's already 5:45. Right, well I'm gonna use the loo, and you have until I'm back to put any final messages up, and then I'm gonna head off and make dinner and stuff. But yeah, I live in Lincoln, and I'll be back. Yeah, no worries. I'm gonna head off for dinner anyway. So, yeah, I live in Lincoln, which is like a small city. Would only be like a large town if it didn't have a cathedral, but because it's a cathedral, England classes any city with any places with a cathedral as a city. We're not the smallest cathedral city, but we're not the biggest either. So, well, I mean, London probably is. London's got a cathedral, but that would be a city anyway. But yeah, I'm going to go feed my cats and make myself dinner. If you sign up, then I'll probably be back on later to see how bad this looks with my hybrid mix of CSS files and tweak it. Yeah, don't worry about it. Lincoln, I think, is now in Division 1, so we're... not currently. I think I probably still have an old account, but I haven't used LinkedIn since I was like probably a year or two before I stopped working. So I don't know, 12, 13 years. We never really used it at work anyway. I hear it's like improved and it's better than it was, but don't currently use LinkedIn. Something I should look into though if I'm going self-employed. So thanks for the reminder. It's the thing, like, I'm not actually really looking to find a programming job. I want to get my own stuff going, maybe start a charity company and provide a framework and a place where people can, like, make software and get paid for it at a reasonable rate, but that doesn't extort users, but something more value than open source. So that, you know, if you want a project to work on, ideally you'd be able to, like, have end users paying a monthly fee, but then when someone does the code, they get paid for the work. But we'll see. While before I'd get that going, I imagine. I've got to get the option for doing Git check-ins and stuff first. If I can get coding and Git integrated onto the website, then that's where I'll be able to look into getting someone to check over the license I wrote. But hopefully I'll see you around again. I will try and remember the name Why Do Rust. and that you live in India, and that you're a full stack developer in a hostel when you're at college or at school and home during the holidays. But for now,